Welcome back. You're watching Real Talk with Dan Edwards. Our guest today is Mary Gleason from Mary F Gleason Consulting, and Mary has worked with nonprofits for over the last 30 years. In her time as a consultant, she's worked with many executives who struggle to get from behind their desks into the community and moving their organization forward. The common denominator is often the time spent solving problems because they ignore their intuition. In addition to her nonprofit career, Mary is a professional psychic and hypnotherapist. She combines all of these skills in an exciting new offering called Executive Intuition Coaching. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
As we look at the new world of working, it's probably more important than ever to be able to show up and be present 100%. Mm-hmm. It may seem like there's no distractions, right, when you're on a Zoom call or when you're trying to move things forward, but it's really easy to drift. And for executives that are trying to run a business, it's probably pretty important too. So what is intuition coaching and why would somebody need it?
Well, I have found so many executives who are nose to the grindstone. They are just getting it done. They got a lot of communication stress on them right now, and things aren't the same. And their biggest accomplishment is how many things they can tick off of their to-do list and get things done. Mm-hmm. When that's the goal, you lose sight very quickly of the big picture, and you may not even be aware that you're doing that. And lots of times, that big picture includes taking that deep breath and saying, what do I know to be true about this? Is this really what I want to do? And not being so anxious to make the check mark on the list, but getting it right the first time. Because when you ignore that little bit of input, what can happen, and what I see happen all the time, is you get something off the top of the list, and in a couple months' time, it's going to come back as problems on the to-do list to solve. And more items. So do you want to spend all your time just getting stuff off your desk and without realizing that you're adding to it, prolonging that time? Or do you want to get it right the first time and take that extra time? But it's not enough to just say, listen to your intuition. Nobody really knows what that means. We talk about a gut check. We talk about, maybe that little man sitting on your chest. But what does it mean? And it looks different for everybody. So
are you saying everyone is intuitive?
Yeah, I think everyone is intuitive. But
how do we pay attention to it?
Well, you have to know what to look for. So very often people will go, see, I was right. Yay, bingo, I got it. I love when that happens. And what I want to say is that can happen a lot more often. And it's not a parlor trick, and it's not something random. Intuition is constant, and it's always there. You have to know what to look for. How does it show up for you? And then how to interpret it correctly. And so, yes, we know to check our gut and that sort of thing, but what does it mean? What are the specifics behind that? I want them to not ignore the messages however they show up for them. And that just takes a little bit of dedicated time to really zero in on what it all means. And they will find that they have that feeling of, it's not just I knew it when it happens, I know it now and I'm moving forward.
When it's happening, like you can tell, they can know it's not just don't ignore it. Okay.
Right.
So what's the experience look like for an executive?
Well, the first thing they want to know is, how much time is this going to take? Which always just cracks me up. And I'll say, a lot less time than it's going to take for you to solve the problems if you don't use your intuition. But I think for the most part, they get really curious. And as we get into this, they'll go, oh, I know that. I've had that feeling before. Oh, that happens to me all the time. And I'll say, yes, this is what I want you to understand. And let's look a little bit more of the information that's behind that exact thing that's happening for you. And, there's still some unpacking to do once you're familiar with it.
Gotcha. So do you have to be an executive to benefit?
Oh, goodness, no. Anybody can benefit from intuition coaching. I like talking to executives because I think it has a ripple effect in everybody that they work with.
Yeah, we all have equal opportunity.
Go ahead.
Okay, because
Sorry, I did.
that's okay.
Somebody in the office. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. So anyway, it helps in every area of your life. But I like working with executives because they will begin to then say to their direct reports, let's do a gut check on this together. What does your intuition tell you? Because you gotta, the left side of your brain brings in all the data. The right side brings in the intuition and creativity. That's what's going to solve the problem. So take that extra 30 seconds to consult it or to get other people to give their input from that perspective. You're going to get a much better thought out response and decision. And you can use it at work, you can use it at home, you can use it in your relationships, you can use it when you walk into a new situation.
Yeah, I know for me, walking into a home with a buyer, we can kind of get a feeling, right? And I remember one specific story is we were on a marathon shop for a home, and we had spent the better part of the day previewing 14 homes and got to the 15th home. That's way too many homes, just to be clear. That's too many homes in one day.
Right.
But the second we walked in, the wife was like, this is my home, right? And it was like a very literal, and I have to tell you, I mean, I've seen people do that on home number 2, right? I've seen that type of thing where you have that intuition. So it's very real, and learning to listen to it is super important. So what about this? You had mentioned learning about chakras. What are they, and why do you start there?
So the chakras, I work with the 7 main chakras that run along your spine from the base at the root all the way up to the crown on your head. And each energy body is assigned specific parts of the body. So I like starting there because that's physical information and it's easier for people to tune in. It's a little more tangible than something airy-fairy that you might think. And, it's one thing to say that it makes your stomach hurt, but what does that mean when your stomach hurts? Well, I'll tell you, you're not digesting this situation very well. It's eating away at your personal power. There's lots of things happening there, and you can zero in even more. So when I get people to really focus on their chakras, pick up that resume. Where are you feeling it and how does it feel? Makes a difference. And the truth is, Dan, you and I can be in the same situation and it can be hard for you to breathe and it can make my stomach hurt because it means something different for us. For you, as a heart chakra, it might be telling you, I'm not in the right relationship with this because of my values, because I don't trust this, but whatever it is. For me, it's saying, oh, I don't feel like I can make as big a contribution here. It's not my strength. It's not my personal power, whatever that is. So there's lots of information. So I like to make it as tangible as possible for people first, and then we build out.
So it's not like it's the same type of feeling for everybody, and emotionally or mentally, you're going to process it a little different depending on where you are, your experiences, your life expectations. So what are the kind of reactions? And I have to say that every time I read the professional psychic part, right, it's like, who's this Mary? We've always had great discussions, but what kind of reactions do you get when you start to talk to people about intuition coaching?
So I get a couple of very standard reactions, which is, what the hell's a chakra? And then the other one is, ooh, that sounds woo-woo, and I'm like, yeah, well, we all have that side to us if we don't repress it. So there's nothing wrong with being woo-woo. I'm a proud woo-woo. And I'll have to say, too, I'm a dominant woo-woo. But not everybody's a dominant intuitive, but they all have intuition. My thing is that why would you ignore that information? And so I work with people to say, why are you resisting bringing half your brain to work? Why is that part of you in the car? Why wouldn't you value it as much as you value the data that you're relying on right now? So let's bring your whole brain to work. And thus is my offering, bring your whole brain to work.
So last question before we go, what are the upcoming opportunities that you have for folks to learn?
Oh, well, I've got a couple of exciting things coming up on September 16th, which is 2 weeks from today. I have a 1-hour webinar that I'm offering for just $25. It's called Bring Your Whole Brain to Work, and I explain more deeply a lot of what we talked about here today. And on September 30th, I have a 2-hour workshop called Introduction to the Chakras. And I just walk people through the chakras and get them started. And it's kind of a fun, interactive class. You get to do a lot of stuff. And even though it's going to be on Zoom, it's still pretty powerful. I have done it with groups and they love it. So if you want to know more, go to marygleason.life, L-I-F-E, to register. Or you can email me at mary@marygleason.life. It's also available on my other website, but it's not working well right now. So that's the surest way to get through.
Okay, fantastic. So Kieran, I'd like to bring you in on this. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mary.
I forgot to mention the best part of all. Anybody who registers for the webinar will also receive a 15% discount code off of a psychic reading. There, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, no problem. But I'd just love to hear Kieran's input. Kieran, do you often recognize that intuition's playing a part in maybe some of your work life or business, or you're starting a business, anything like that?
Yeah, intuition is very important. I've always told myself I go with my intuitions, and that's helped me a lot in almost every single case. It is worked very well for me. In other cases, it hasn't. Sometimes you have to be methodical. Um, I'm a big believer in, mental health and, the whole mind body. So the chakras and all of that are very important as I run my business, and as I work with other individuals.
I feel like, just like anything in life, it's somewhat of a learned skill, right? To kind of hone
Yes.
in and recognize that you're feeling something, and then see what the outcomes are. So yeah, it's great. Well, listen, Mary, I thank you again for coming on today. I love the discussion, and I think this is the event is next Wednesday.
2 weeks from today, the
2 weeks.
16th.
Okay.
And then again, 2 weeks after that on the 30th for the workshop. So
Okay.
I hope you guys will all join me. It's really going to be a lot of fun.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Take care.
Mhm.